Hello, everybody. It is around 7:01, so we will call the meeting to order. At this time, we'll have roll call. Madam Clerk,
Mayor Tripp,
here.
Mayor Pro Tem Huber,
Here.
Commissioner Langley,
Here.
Commissioner Davis,
Here.
Commissioner Ross,
Here.
Commissioner Goff.
I'm here.
Thank you.
At this time, I want to welcome everyone to our meeting. I want to say it's good to see Commissioner Davis, so we're glad to have him back with us. So I hope he's feeling well. At this time, we have public hearing. The protocol is if you want to speak for the board, when we get that section, just speak up and we'll connect with you in that regards. At this time, we'll have prayer. If you would, bow your heads for prayer. Oh Lord, we're going to prayer today, giving thanks for Coach Davis, Commissioner Davis, to bring him back to us through his illness. We are so grateful that you were with him and his family, and so thank you. We pray for those who may be sick in our community, who may be struggling. We pray to lift them up, that you too may touch them in a special way to make them feel better also, Lord. Ask that you be with us tonight as we make decisions that will help our community be better than it is today and in the future. So we give you praise on that. Everything we do, we give you the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
At this time, we'll do a pledge of allegiance to the flag. So if you would, pledge allegiance to the flag,
The flag
of the United States
of
of
the
America
States of America,
and to the republic
the republic
for which it stands,
stands,
one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God.
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty, and justice.
for all.
Whoa.
Okay, thank you. At this time, Mr. Manager, approval of the agenda. Anything changed in the agenda?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Need a motion?
Make a motion.
We do have a change.
I'm sorry.
Budget Amendment, that's right.
We have an additional budget amendment. that needs to be
Additional.
added that was sent out to you all on Friday.
So tell me again, what additional
A budget amendment.
Budget amendment.
budget? Okay.
Sorry, I forgot about that.
Item.
So Mayor Pro Tem, will you include that in your motion?
Yes, I would.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ross. Any discussion? Vote on the motion. Mayor Pro Tem.
So move. Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff.
Yes.
The next is public comments. At this time, is anyone in the public like to comment at this time?
I would.
Mayor.
Hey, Patty and Roy.
Hey, hurry up.
Is it, tell me when I can speak and I'll speak.
You can now.
Okay. For those of you, most of you do know me. I'm Patty Richardson. I spent the most part of my life here in Ayden. I'm 59 years old, and the first 23 years was spent on Snow Hill Street, and the last 35 years have been on the corner of Snow Hill and Juanita. So I think I'm probably as well versed to talk about this area of our community as anybody. And I'm just going to share some concerns. When our children were growing up, it was so dangerous going down Juanita that I felt like I couldn't pull my children in the wagon. I couldn't push them in a stroller. Roy and I used to try and take them bike riding, and then we were so afraid we were going to get hit, we would have to cut through other people's yards and go in a different area. I think I lost count of the times that I asked for help down Juanita because it was a thoroughfare that people just flew up and down all the time. And the most I was ever able to get is the big sign that says you're speeding. There have been numerous car accidents over the years on Juanita because of people going so high. We've had people hit by cars on Juanita. I'm sure some of you are familiar with some of the things that's going on Juanita. And I think I'm more hurt than anything that as many years as we've asked for some safety help down the street, we've gotten nothing, but yet let the thoroughfares start heading over toward the Pines. And Ivory, you and Steve can attest. Now there's a stoplight, a stop sign on every stinking corner. You go over to Northeast College Street, and Cindy, y'all got stop signs now at even T intersections. And I just want to understand I want to understand because it looks like there's a lot of partiality going on. I've got grandchildren. My children chose to move here to live, to raise their families. And here 35 years later, I'm in the same boat. I feel like I can't take my children and my grandchildren walking down Juanita. I've been cussed out. I've been threatened. We've had strangers come up in our yard and park and have sex. We have been, I've been practically mowed down by people. Y'all, nobody in this community, nobody deserves to have to live and be exposed to what we've been exposed to. And I just want to know, what's going to be done about it? When is everybody, and just not a select few in this town, going to be treated equally? When are our voices going to be heard? Then you go do, and I'm not even going to go there, but I'm telling you, that was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, to put 144 daggone houses on the corner of Snow Hill and Highway 11 when we already can't accommodate for the traffic. Then they block Highway 11. And so what do you think that's done down Juanita now? We got dump trucks, and, I am extremely concerned because it's killing our community, because people like us with our grandkids, they don't want to come here anymore. They're all wanting to leave. Why is it that some people are being taken care of and looked out for, but others aren't? And I'm going to just say this, and the partiality and the not listening to some and listening to others has to stop. And it's going to, or I'm going to get out of that board. And in the famous words of my main man is our new lieutenant governor, I'm going to raise total cane until it does. Y'all have to start listening to everybody, not just select few. And that's it. I got that. I've been at y'all.
Okay, thank you.
Please,
I'm sorry.
I need her address.
Yeah, Patty, what's your address?
I'm
So-
282 Bowen Circle.
282 Bowen Circle.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'd like to add a comment if I could to that.
Sure.
He's a separate person, so he gets his own 3 minutes.
I'm not going to take up 3, but it's Roy Richardson. To add to what Patty said, with these new apartments that are being built off of Snow Hill Street, not only has there been an enormous amount of construction traffic that has used Juanita Street as a thoroughfare for dump trucks and other heavy equipment, tearing up the roads, speeding through here. It's a safety concern there. But, once this additional traffic gets put in place, because there's no solution at Highway 11 right now that we're aware of, and even if there is, we're not sure what it's going to be. The people that need to get to these apartments from Highway 11 going south are going to have to come down 3rd Street and either hit Juanita or Snow Hill and make their way to those apartments. Now, yes, they can leave to go north by Highway 11 on Snow Hill Street, but if they want to go anywhere else, south on 11 or anywhere else, they got to come back down Snow Hill and either hit Juanita to go out 3rd Street or what have you. The traffic is going to be even worse. And if we don't have some form of traffic control on Juanita Street to stop it from being a thoroughfare, people are going to not want to live here. And we're going to have accidents. We're going to have people injured. It's just not going to be safe at all.
Okay, anything?
Hey, there it is. It's not very big.
Who's speaking, please? I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Mr. Mayor, I had muted that call since I wasn't sure what, I think they were trying to connect, so hopefully they'll be back with you. But I think Miss Pam down in the bottom is looking to speak as well.
Okay, you may speak, so.
Hi, Mayor. This is Pam Justice, and I, of course, am the branch manager at Southern Bank. I wanted to say thank you to you and the council members, town manager, and department heads for all the wonderful things you are doing in Ayden to help move Ayden forward. I feel these are exciting times in the town of Ayden with the growth and development. They do come challenges, and I know there's a lot to manage when that is taking place, but I wanted to just first start off with saying thank you for all you do. Last year, about this time, I was invited to attend the Main Street Convention in New Bern, along with some town officials, the chamber head at the time, Laura, Brad Goof, and Gwendy. And I have to say, having attended many conventions in my career, that this convention was probably one of the most well presented, most informational convention I had ever attended, and we were there for about 2.5 days. What was exciting about it is the importance and the emphasis on celebrating our assets. And as I think about the things that have gone on in Ayden for years, the family traditions, the family generational after generation restaurant owners, the aesthetics, the architecture, the school system. There's so many things to celebrate in Ayden that when we came back, we were all pretty fired up, and we met with the former town manager and actually were proposing how could we bring on a Main Street representative to help partner with town officials, with the chamber, with business leaders, to be a part of the growth, development, and change taking place in the town of Ayden. And lo and behold, the very next day we were shut down due to COVID. So we never really got to finish that conversation. In the meantime, it's happening. Things are expanding. Businesses are coming to town. The Pocket Park is just an incredible project that we've seen take place in this period of time. You know, Quilt and Lizzie getting ready to open, coffee shops, so many good things are happening. And then we find out we have access to this leads person, and the funding being granted for that position just seems to me to be a perfect fit for a Main Street representative. So I propose for your consideration utilizing the perfect candidate that we are, from what I understand, the town is able to select and choose the perfect candidate to represent Ayden and partner with the town, partner with the chamber, partner with business leaders to implement some of the wonderful programs, resources, and opportunities that Main Street offers. And so I appreciate your time and opportunity to at least put this idea out there. I trust your guidance and your leadership to make the right decision, but I would ask that you consider, let's get a Main Street person in place and continue to build our team and to lead Ayden very positively into future growth, development, and accentuating and celebrating our assets that we've had for years. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Pam. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to make comments?
Hey, Steve, this is Josh Richardson.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, I live, Mom and Daddy just spoke a little while ago. I live at 280 Bowen Circle. And I wanted to mention, this has got a little bit to do with the apartment complex that's being built that they mentioned earlier. And I've got a few questions, actually. First, I would like to know why the town felt it was acceptable to go against the future land use survey map and approve the multifamily dwellings, whereas it used to be zone commercial. And the other side of that is, I would like to know if any traffic studies or any type of studies for anything have been done since the DOT shut down Highway 11 Snow Hill. And granted, I understand why the intersection was shut down. I'm not arguing or complaining about that. I understand the safety aspect of it, but it has created tons of traffic coming, not just down Juanita, but all through Snow Hill Street, all the way back to the park and up and down 3rd Street. And, you know, I was leaving to go to work this morning, and I sat at the end of Juanita trying to turn on the 3rd Street for 10 minutes, and I couldn't get out because of the traffic. And I would like the board to answer if anything has been talked about or been discussed to address those traffic concerns, and as well as I would like some type of response to whether or not it is possible to put stop signs on Juanita Avenue and from 3rd Street all the way back to Snow Hill. If that can't be done, why not? What intersections would be possible to do that? I can't imagine what we've already got, and then you multiply that times 2 or 3 cars per 144 apartments. I can't imagine how traffic's going to even flow. And so I would just like the board to look at and answer some of those questions and to address that.
Josh, I appreciate you, Patty, and Roy's comments and understanding your concern. So if the board don't mind, I will mention some things that I think you need to know. One, the intersection at Snow Hill and Highway 11 that's blocked off will be redesigned, and it's in process of has been redesigned. The question now, pretty soon they will start to work in making that a road improvement, and the manager can tell you the date of that in a minute. So in essence, what it'll do, it'll be a turnaround type of situation when you go out of Snow Hill and you're going to go north. You can go out, then there'll be a turn lane a few distance down, a few hundred yards down, where you can do a left and go back south. So you have, and coming in, going south, you can go down past the intersection, get a turn lane and turn and come back into Snow Hill Road. So that would take some of the traffic that you talk about away from, allow them to go north and south on Highway 11 today. So we hope that we're done with the next 3 or 4 months. I think that's what projected is, isn't it, Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir, that's correct, according to the district engineer.
Yeah, and so that will create a more safe traffic movement. So we're very pleased with that, and we're pleased with DOT because that's added funding that wasn't projected when they did the bypass. So we're very grateful they had improved that movement. As far as the putting stop signs on Juanita, that's an option that the board can do. And so that's something that we can put on the agenda for next meeting to have a conversation about and see what's the best area to do that. That's the pleasure of the board, so that we can put that on the agenda and have a conversation about. As far as the apartment complex, that was discussed back in February 2017. So it was something that was brought to the board, and the zoning was changed at that moment. One thing that we tried to do is multiple factors, looking at multiple things and determine what's best for land use. And some of it has to do with the landowner, how they want to develop land. And then it looks at the inventory that we have in the town of Ayton. Are we missing something far as apartments or housing or whatever? And so we determine that, then we look at what is suitable to that land use. So he went through the right protocols far as in 2017 in February, that the right, it was communicating in the right manner as about all. So we did do that. So it's been a decision made 4 years ago. It's been a long time ago. In fact, if you want to know, Commissioner Davenport and Commissioner Skinner was on the board at that time. So that's how long ago it's been. Decided just recently to develop the land into apartments. So that's how that was situated. And so I hope that answers some of your questions in regards to that. So with that said, we'll put those items for discussion on the board agenda, Mr. Manager. The board don't matter. We have, about looking at a good place, put those stop signs and I do agree that the traffic in Juanita is heavy, and probably more so now with the diversion of the intersection at Snow Hill and Highway 11. And so we probably need to get that as soon as possible to look at.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. We'll have it on the next agenda. And I've went out there today, ironically, looking at something else. And there is an issue out there. They're absolutely correct. But there are things we can do to help it.
I think that the traffic calming concerns need to be kind of push forward as much as we can because it's happening right now.
Yes,
This is a live issue, and I would hate mighty bad, and I think the board would too, for someone to get in a bad accident. These things are actually transpiring right now. And even if we have to go back and review what we do, I think we need to take a look at it real soon, like maybe tomorrow, to see what we can put in place. If anything, maybe it's something we can put in place for right now.
Mr. Manager, didn't we discuss load management or load weight limits on some of these roads?
that has been discussed before, and you can do it like a no through traffic. Those are things that I was going to tell you. We need a little bit more time, with all due respect to Mayor Pro Tem Newburn, to give you a little bit more, do a little bit of research, but we can get back to you in a few days to give you all the different options that are out there. You can restrict through traffic trucks with, limit the number of axles. We've got the traffic calming humps that are prevalent throughout the community. Four-way stops is another way to calm traffic. And there are various ways to go about this. We just have to look at it and look at the situation and kind of study it a little bit before we jump to any kind of conclusions and bring you back some recommendations that will work, and we can do that. And we'll do it as soon as possible.
Mr. Manager,
Yes, ma'am.
do we have the equipment where we can do a traffic count on Snow Hill and Juanita?
I don't know if the town of Aden has that, but I know that we can probably get that.
That would be, I think, information that would be good to know is to, how much traffic we have traveling on those streets as well. I mean, we know it's an issue. It may be more of an issue than we actually realize. If we get a traffic count, that would help us a lot, I would think.
Yes, ma'am, we can do that.
I have another comment. I think in the meantime, and I do understand what you're saying, Mr. Manager, but I think in the meantime, if we don't already have some type of patrol in that area, I think, we kind of need to beef it up. I think that would help. Whatever we can do.
Yes, sir.
Within reason.
We can definitely do that. Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? I think the Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioner Langley and Commissioner Goff and us, it's agreeable that we need to do something in that area, and to something immediately. I think Mayor Pro Tem's idea of increasing patrol, and I think the traffic count can be done with that speed monitor device that we have. It can count traffic, Mr. Manager. So we do have a device that could count traffic. But with that said, something needs to be done. And so,
well, one thing, just like I said, we can get enforcement started up immediately. I didn't think about the stop sign. That doesn't do turning movements, but at least we can get the through traffic, and that'll monitor speed, and that also helps calm traffic as well. So we can get that out, I would think, right away.
The stop sign that we can put on that road, see, it's at 6. You got 6th Street, you got 5th Street, 4th Street. One of those intersections that might be good, put a 4-way stop sign in place.
6th Street is a big one. 6th Street and 4th Street and 8th Street.
Yeah, so is there any way that we can go and do that now, Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir. We could look at it and go ahead and put that in there. I don't see why not.
Let's do 6th Street first, and then we'll look at the other 2 spots later on. But that'll be a start. And Patty's right. 6th Street is a busy street. I mean, that is yeah. And I think that will help some moving forward. Then we'll assess going forward.
I think most neighborhoods would rather have a 4-way stop, 3-way stop than the speed bump, speed calming type of thing. I know I don't care for the speed bumps myself, but I think a 4-way stop would help that area a lot. I didn't realize that there was an issue there. So I'm glad that the Richardsons brought it to our attention.
Yeah. So if the board's okay, we'll proceed those steps, initial steps, then we might add as we go forward on, and that the police chief and the manager look at the situation and see how they can make it better. You good with that, Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
All right, the board good with it?
Sir,
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank
move.
y'all.
Okay. Any other public comments? Okay, with that said, we're gonna go to presentation. Thank you, guys. Appreciate Patty and Roy and Josh. Thank you. You're welcome to stay, but thank you. Mr. Manager, presentations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have John Coates and PJ Rem from Electric Cities tonight on to give us an update on the AMA project. We're close to 3/4 of the way, maybe more, 80% of the project in terms of installation of the automated advanced metering infrastructure. And so things are going pretty well. We've started educating our staff on how to use the portal with our Tyler Technology Systems so that we can fully automate our meters. But I will ask PJ Rem to go ahead and start that update if that's okay with you, if you're ready, PJ.
Yep, can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you, PJ.
All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. We prepared just a quick presentation to go over too. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yes.
All right. So good evening, Mayor and Board. It's been a couple of years since I've been to one of the meetings and presented, and this one's definitely a little bit different than the last time. But Matt asked John Coates and myself to provide an update on the AMI project tonight. John Coates is the lead systems engineer, and he's been pretty much the boots on the ground helping to manage this project and working day to day with all the staff at the town of Ayden. And I've just been involved from the very beginning, back when we started discussing AMI back in, I think it was maybe 2018 was the very first time, maybe even before then. But we just have a fairly brief update to give, just a little bit of background first. The AMI project was first approved in 2019, and it was approved to be basically taken or deployed in two different phases. Phase one being about 4,000 electric AMI meters and 1,000 load switches, which was going to take place kind of in 2019 through 2020. And then phase two was going to be for the deployment of about 2,200 or so water AMI meters. And that was going to be essentially 2020 through 2021. Back kind of the whole reason it was approved too, or one of the reasons was a lot of the electric meters were over 10 years old and at the end of their life, their useful life, and were failing. So they needed to be replaced. And then you were at the point where a lot of your AMI or a lot of your water meters could easily be updated to AMI meters. So you didn't have to go through and replace a whole lot of your water meters. There were still a handful that need to be replaced, but those were still good and could be upgraded to AMI. And really the town desired to improve customer offerings and operational efficiencies. These included the introduction of a load management program, having a customer portal for customers and citizens to log in and see some of their detailed consumption and better control their energy and water usage, being able to offer prepay to citizens. And then some of the operational efficiencies were being able to remotely connect and disconnect meters, remotely read meters, receive outage notifications, leak alerts, and various things like that. So for accomplishments to date, basically back in 2020, the first step was installing all of the communications network to support the AMI system. That was really the first thing that was performed. And then for about first half of 2020, spent a lot of the time installing all of the electric AMI meters, and the town contracted out the installation of most of those to a firm called NextGen. And so they had completed about 85% of the electric meters by June 2020. The remainder of those are going to begin in this month and next month with next installing those. And it ended up being estimates were a little bit off on how many meters needed to be ordered. Plus, you've seen quite a bit of growth as well. Ultimately, when we got to about June of 2020, another order was placed for additional AMI meters, and the lead time for those were about 4 to 5 months. So there's just a little gap there, but a bulk of the AMI meters were completed by June 2020 for the electric. As part of that project, completed the integration with the Tyler Technology utility billing system. And what that allowed is basically those two systems talk to each other. So customer information is being updated automatically. Billing information can come from NextGrid and go into the Tyler Technology system. And you're not managing two different fairly complex systems and having to update customer information and things like that. So that integration was completed as well as part of the project. Had multiple rounds of training for Aiden staff just to go through the NextGrid system and everything that can be done through that. And Aiden is using NextGrid for doing things like remote disconnects and reconnects now, reading all of the electric meters, getting outage notifications and more. And then also ordered all of the water meters and AMI modules for the water that is needed. And those are basically waiting to be delivered within probably this month, just kind of waiting to line up everything with NextGen to start installation of those as well. We included a couple of screenshots. I guess my message here, if anybody on the board would like a deeper dive demo or anything like that on the NextGrid system, happy to help organize that. But just wanted to show, at least a little bit of what it looks like. So this is basically showing the communications infrastructure that was deployed. So there's devices at every one of these little icon locations. And then this is just a zoomed in screenshot of all of the electric meters with some of the communication devices as well. So each of the little blue circles is an actual electric meter that's been installed. And all of the blue lines are just showing how they're communicating to each other. And then this one was just showing this is the outage management module that's part of the system as well, where you can see outages and historical outages and get a heat map. And I just thought this was a fairly cool screenshot to include. But those were the only three I did include. Like I said, there's a whole lot of information that you get through the system, and happy to take a deeper dive at any point. Just wanted to at least show a little bit of what we were talking about in the system that Aiden has deployed now. So as far as remaining timeline, got a couple of big things coming up. Like I had mentioned, in March and in April, we're going to be installing the remainder of the electric meters. I think it's right around 650 or so that Aiden has now. And I believe some Aiden staff have started to install those a little bit, but NextGen is going to come back and do the bulk of those. In April, the plan is basically after all of the electric meters are deployed to deploy the Tyler Smart Meter Portal, which I've got a slide right after this that goes a little bit deeper into what that provides to Aiden and the citizens of Aiden. Starting in April and probably continuing till about August, we'll be installing the water meters plus the AMI modules. And again, that's using the firm NextGen to install those. We've got a couple of things that are kind of to be determined. The original plan was to basically start offering a load management program to residents, and that would be for HVAC and water heater control. And Aiden has ordered those switches, but as we all know, COVID has hit, and there's been some hesitancy of scheduling installs with customers, at least until that it subsides a little bit. So that's why we kind of have to be determined there. But the intentions are to still deploy those load switches and start offering that program again. And then this one's a little bit later, the deploy Tyler prepay solution. I know that was a big goal of the board whenever we were approving the AMI project. And we've got a little bit of recent development. So we're partnered with Tyler Technologies, Electricities is, and we've been pushing them to basically develop their own prepay solution that would work, basically be very tightly integrated with the billing system, the Tyler Technologies billing system. And they are working on that. They're looking at a late 2021 release. But I strongly encourage the town to look at that solution as opposed to what we were planning before, was to implement a third-party solution. And there's just, it could become a little bit more complicated if you introduce yet another vendor into all this. So definitely would recommend waiting and looking at the Tyler solution when they have that deployed as well. And it should be cheaper as well. So that is still on the horizon, though, to be able to offer that solution. And then, so the Tyler Tech Smart Meter Portal, this is the thing that's that we've been working with the town staff already. They've received training, they've done all the testing and everything like that. Basically, it's the customer portal for citizens to access their payment history, consumption history, utility billing, and make payments and everything like that. I believe there's a link on your homepage where citizens can currently log into this. And basically what this does with smart meters is it shows their detailed consumption. Once it's live and enabled, it'll show their 15-minute interval consumption for those smart meters. So instead of getting basically monthly reads that you would get right now, if you logged into the system, you'd see your February usage, your January usage, and that's about it. After this is live with the smart meters, you could click into every single day. You could drill into the hour and then into the 15-minute intervals. So there's a lot more information that'll be available to citizens, and that's on the electric and the water side. Through this portal as well, citizens can sign up for consumption threshold alerts. So if they were to set a threshold of, say, 30 kilowatt hours, they want to be notified by text or email after they've reached 30 kilowatt hours in a given day. Then they can set those alerts and customize them themselves. So that's very good to certainly set an alert like that, and it can help you catch faulty appliance or something like that might be causing you to use a lot of energy. You can also set bill threshold alerts if you want to know when your projected bill might be beyond a certain dollar limit. You can set those alerts, and then leak alert on the water side. You're able to set those through this portal. And again, as I mentioned, plan is to go live in April 2021. And that'll basically it'll be live for the electric meters first. And then the plan is, as the water meters are installed, that will be kind of phased in as well to show the water consumption. And that is all I had. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner Langley.
With all the user interface for the citizens to log in and to see the set thresholds and know the actual uses of energy, as well as when the water meters are in place, the actual use of water. Is there going to be any thresholds or anything set up at the portal at the town that for those that don't have the capability or know how to go in and set up thresholds, will there be any kind of alerts based on historical data for the town to notify the citizen?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so there's two ways for that. First, NextGrid has the ability of, and they currently are set up where on the electric and water side, you can get irregular consumption reports, where if it's a certain, percent higher than normal for that customer, or even if it's a zero consumption, It flags those meters in NextGrid, so so town staff can see those. Town staff can also get leak alerts through NextGrid. And then the admin portal of the Tyler Smart Meter portal actually shows if a citizen is registered for the portal and gets leak alerts, then you can see when those are sent out to citizens too.
I guess my question is, if someone does not register for leak alerts and energy consumption, and they do have, for instance, we have a lot of historical data that the town has, just like on every bill that comes out, we have up to 1 year that we're looking at usage for the previous year. Is that historical data going to be loaded into the database to do a comparison on it to see the difference in energy?
So currently that report just looks at the previous 3 months, I believe.
No, it goes out a year.
Well, excuse me, what was that?
It goes out to 1 year.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Oh, the report in NextGrid for the irregular consumption, it looks at previous 3 months to see what the average is, and that's how it flags the accounts. But I guess for one of your questions on for citizens that are not registered for the portal, through NextGrid, town staff will get that for all customers, regardless if they're registered or not. So they'll see all leak alerts, everything like that. So they can proactively reach out to customers if they're getting a leak alert, even if the customer's not signed up for the portal. As far as historical data, I think the best thing there is we're constantly working with NextGrid and vendors to make improvements, and they're looking at how they can add in reports, and maybe that's an opportunity where we can have something that can, you know, flag usage if it's irregular compared to the previous year instead of just the previous 3 months. But the data is available there. It's just the question comes down to how you actually look at the data, massage the data, what kind of reports are available and might need to be created there. I do know electricity staff, so we have an energy auditor that helps a lot of our members with residential energy audits. And any member that has deployed NextGrid, what he does is if the customer has a smart meter or a NextGrid meter, then he'll pull that consumption data and can actually use that to help him provide a much better energy audit. And a lot of times, if the customer has an underlying issue before he even starts the audit, he can look at that data and see what's going on.
Thank you.
Yep.
Question, Commissioner Goff?
Well, a couple of them. One of them is, you know, when the load management program begins in, you said April, where, you know, customers can actually start to access their information. How will that notification be made out to our power clients?
So typically what we've seen, Tyler has a couple of resources. They have a template bill insert that could be sent out to all citizens. They've got some resources that could be posted online on the website or through social media, and you can push out the promotion of it there. They also have a kind of a how-to video that could be embedded into your website as well, just to show citizens how to access their information and everything that goes along with the smart meter portal. So I'd recommend pushing it out at all those different channels, and not just doing it once as well, but, you know, constantly promote it to try and increase adoption. But those would be the most popular.
Okay. In one of our handouts from NextGrid is a thing called Customer Portal. Is that something that's accessible as well? And an Amazon Alexa support? Are those incorporated into this?
So NextGrid has their own portal that also has, it provides a little bit more detailed information. What we recommend is kind of deploying the Tyler Tech Smart Meter portal first, because that's where your citizens are used to already logging into and paying their bill and viewing their bill. And you can integrate all that information into there. And then the plan would be after that's kind of up and running and being used. You can just insert a link into the Tyler smart meter portal that could direct citizens to the NextGrid portal if they want to see even more detailed information. So rather than confuse them and kind of release two different portals at the same time, you're kind of pointing them towards the Tyler Tech smart meter portal because that's where they're paying their bill and they're used to logging in there already. And then you can follow on later if desired with the additional NextGrid portal for additional information. And that the NextGrid portal wasn't any additional cost. It's just included as part of their system.
Okay, and there's what's called the EDS cluster. Is that located in the town in a communication center and monitored through the town, or how is that set up?
The town pays Electricities to host their data and host their servers. So we essentially stood that up at our data center, and it's located there. So it's not on site at the town of Ayden at all. So the town basically accesses everything to do with NextGrid through the internet. And we host all of the data, Electricities hosts all of the data for the town.
And we have someone from the town that's going to be trained to monitor usage, whether it's electric or water usage, throughout the monthly periods of our billing.
Yes. Customer service is trained on all the different reports and what to monitor, what alerts to look out for, and things like that.
So if something comes up, it's showing that I'm using excessive electricity that is not typical for my monthly usage or 3-month usage. They'll be able to see that and either notify me that there's an issue, or, besides being surprised by a large utility bill.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And those are the most common things. Members of ours will notify citizens if it's a high electric bill or an irregular consumption, or if it's leak alerts on the water side. So that's just pretty much one of their daily processes that they start implementing in, and they'll reach out to customers if they get any alerts.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Any other questions? I too like to follow up with this. This is technology driven, and it's important that, we can put all the data into something, but we don't know how to interpret data, or if the data don't have no meaning for us, it's no point having it. So who on our town staff is monitoring this, Mr. Manager?
Mostly it's Lucinda and also all the customer service reps. They're at the front office. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay.
So are they well trained that like Commissioner Goff with that?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. They're going through the training now. So they've gotten some training already, but there's still more training that they'll be going through.
And we will have a procedure book. Say we have a person to lead the organization that we know how to utilize this piece of technology.
That's a good idea. We're going to do a lot of cross training so that other people will know how to do it within the organization, not just customer service, but we'll develop those protocols, and so that we don't have just one, but multiple people, so that anybody can train anybody else. But everybody that's working to take payments will know how to do this and know how to monitor it, and know how to do what's required for that.
So PJ, because I don't know the system. So if there is if there's an increased utilization of a component, electric or water, does the system send out a red flag, or you have to go look for it?
Oh, sorry. What was the question? You broke up a little bit.
Yeah. If it's the utilization has gone up comparable to your past history, does the system send out a red flag or some type of notice to someone, or does it you have to go to run a report to look at it?
I believe the way it works for leak alerts, those are actually an alert that comes up in the system that could be cleared out or acknowledged. And I think the irregular consumption is more of a report that would have to be ran. because it's not, the leak alert is typically a legitimate problem that needs to be investigated as as a leak. Whereas the irregular consumption could just be, it doesn't necessarily point to a problem or show that it's a kind of a high priority alert.
I
So
see.
essentially it's mix of both, depending on what the alert is.
And so basically the alert's going to give someone and they're going to have to interpret it or make a decision to send somebody there to look at it or not.
Yeah, I think typically what we've seen with other communities on the leak alert, at least, is they'll just proactively call the customer anyway and say, are you aware of a possible leak? And just talk with them. I mean, they could have just been filling up a pool, for example, and used a lot of water for over the last couple of days. So sometimes it can be resolved through that, but if they are not aware of a leak, then the town might send somebody to help investigate and see, at least make sure it's not on the town side for that leak. And then for the high consumption alert, I think that's a little bit more of something the town staff would take a little deeper dive into and see what their history looks like and see if it looks like something that's, just recently started peaking and could be an appliance issue, or could be, something different, could be kind of a false positive alert and maybe doesn't require any more investigating. But typically, I mean, the town has the information in front of them to take a deeper dive if they get one of those alerts and really drill down and see if they can figure out where it's coming from and then reach out to the citizen.
Okay.
Mr. Manager,
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
with what has been said, when there's red flags or these consumption alerts or leakage alerts, is that going to be directed to a specific area person, or is this just going to be random among customer service? I mean, how is that going to be handled?
It's mostly handled right now through Lucia. She's got probably the most trained eye towards it. They all know it, but she's just the most experienced one.
And is this in place now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
I will say the leak alerts aren't available yet just because water meters aren't deployed, but exactly when those are deployed and available, then Lucia would have what she needs to know to take care of those.
I have a question for PJ.
Okay.
PJ, so with the electric meters being at 85%, how long have we had the capability to be able to look at excessive usage in electric?
Essentially 3 months after the meter was installed. So I would say for those 85% of the meters, probably you're looking at August, September, just to be safe. But if your meter was installed in January of 2020, then technically as you're building up that information, it could come up on the report 3 months after that.
I guess the reason I asked that question is it's a personal question. I had excessive use on my electric in January of this year, and it was a faulty unit that was not starting up, which caused the electrical heat strips to work to heat the home, and there was no alert. I'm just wondering if we have this in place already, did we fail at that as a monitoring station, or how did we fail at that?
Mm-hmm. I'd honestly have to do a little digging. I could follow up with Matt, the town manager, and we could pull your consumption information and see what it looked like and provide that to you if you'd like.
I would. I mean, it showed up on the electric bill as on a bar graph on the, it went back 12 months of February of last year or January of last year, and it showed a major consumption in the home. And I wasn't aware of it until I got the bill, and that's when I called the air conditioning company, who came out and checked the unit, and it was low on Freon, so it was basically using heat strips. Mm-hmm. So I had basically the month of January and some of February that I was using heat strips. And what I'm concerned with is if we had this infrastructure in place for those meters, then I'm wondering if we failed to monitor or where the failure was.
Yep. Yeah. So we can pull that information and see exactly what was going on. I will say the reports are constantly getting better and the alerts are getting better, so they're not fail proof. But something like that, I would think would be able to show up on that, because that's essentially what you're trying to solve through those reports, is try and catch issues like that and then be proactive and reach out to the citizens to notify them of potential issues before they become before they get the bill at the end of the month and, you know, have a couple $100 more than what they were planning on having to spend on electricity.
Right. Okay. So Matt, you're going to get with him on that?
Yes, we'll
Thank you.
figure out what happened there and let you know.
Thank you.
And these are the system is there's so much you can do with it, and you could attend training every week and, you know, still take months to learn everything about the system. So I will say, with process wise internally, you know, we're of course working with Aiden and the town just to help make sure everybody's up to speed on how to use the system. We've, as I was mentioning and as Matt was mentioning, had a couple of training sessions already, and I don't believe those will be the end of the training sessions, because the system is constantly getting better. Plus, you know, staff is learning more about it. So it's a learning process as well, and evolving just the way that you typically do business with your citizens. It's completely changing that now. You have so much more information that you can provide to them, and provide, you know, better electric service overall through the use of the AMI system.
Thanks.
Council, say thank you, PJ, for that. I think, you know, we'll stay connected with you. I think it's got a great opportunity for Town of Ayton. I guess you're right. We've had to learn how to use it, technology and the data to help us with that. With that said, the next item is public hearing. Steve Smith on the future land map utilization.
Good evening. Give me just a second to get some of these screens cleared out. So yeah, you do have before you tonight a future land use map amendment. Applicant is requesting a future land use map change from low density residential to mixed residential. The request contains approximately 13 acres of property on 3 parcels at the northwest corner of Thad Little Road and Warehouser Road. This request is a little different than the one that's in your packet. The original request was 4 parcels and roughly 15.5 acres, but the applicant, Mr. Kenneth Smith, is still in negotiations with the landowners on one of those parcels, so he's asked to remove that parcel from the request at this time. The town does provide water, sewer, and electric to these properties. They're all currently zoned light industrial and are completely surrounded by residential zoning. The properties located across the street are already designated as mixed residential. And just as note, prior to any development on these parcels, the property will be annexed into the city limits. And here's a aerial shot of those properties. Again, this is at the corner of Thad Little and Warehouser Road. Just as a reminder, the low density residential designation, you typically see single family homes with no access to water or sewer, with densities around 1 to 3 units per acre. And your mixed residential classification, of course, there would be access to water and sewer. And these areas would contain a mix of housing types, probably closer to a density of 3 to 8 units per acre. And again, you may see patio homes, small lot homes, townhouses, or even small scale garden apartments. Just to kind of give you an indication of the land uses in the area. As you can see, the lighter yellow color is your low density residential, with a little mixed residential again on the opposite corner. Staff does recommend approval of these changes to the land use map. And again, this land use classification change would allow for future rezonings that would again provide various housing types, which again is an overall goal of the land use plan. And like I did mention, all of this property is currently zoned light industrial. At its February meeting, the planning board did vote to unanimously recommend approval of the change in classification from low density residential to mixed residential. So we've got two actions requested of you tonight. One is to conduct the public hearing, and then after, at the conclusion of the hearing, to consider approval of that land use map amendment. And I guess as note, keep in mind that because these are public hearings and we're holding them via Zoom, we do have to allow 24 hours prior to taking official action on those. A representative of the developer is here tonight, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have. And I think Ken Malpas is on as well if you've got questions of him.
Any questions from the board for the planner? Hearing none, we're going to open up the public hearing. Those who want to speak on this project may do so now. Please introduce yourself with your address also.
Mr. Mayor, Ken Malpas, Greenville, 1645 East Arlington Boulevard. I'll be glad to answer any questions. I really don't have anything to add to what Stephen said, but be glad to answer anything anybody might have.
Any question to the developer? Does anyone else like to speak on this? Hearing there is none more else, we will close the public hearing. This will have to be voted on 24 hours or more after this meeting. So we'll have to decide at the end of the meeting how we want to proceed with that. So we'll do that then.
Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a public hearing as well to consider the financing of a sanitary sewer extension and water line replacement project out 102, NC 102 to 3rd Street, and also to serve the new development that is occurring out of the Aden Country Club area. Those projects are East Ridge subdivision and also the patio home subdivision, Montevelo, some of those other ones in that area. This is part of the process. We're required to have a public hearing as part of our submittal to the Local Government Commission to get the application approved and loan approved. And I think Joanne is also on the line if you have any questions for Finance Director, Joanne Floyd.
Are there any questions to the manager or the finance director? At this time, we'll open the public hearing for those who want to speak on this matter may do so now. Hearing there is no more to speak on this matter, we'll close the public hearing. This will be another item that we'll have to come back to vote on 24 hours or later. So we'll discuss that at the end of the meeting, how we want to do that. Okay, the next item is consent agenda. Attached on your board is the minutes from the February 8th meeting. What's the pleasure?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lanning. Vote on the motion. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Commissioner Goff.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis. And Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
Okay, we got it. Next item on action items. Stephen, on the first one.
Yes, sir. This is, let me get this up. As you'll recall at our last meeting, we did have an annexation request from the Best Cathedral of Fresh Fire Ministries. We are halfway through the annexation process. At your first meeting, the board did adopt a resolution directing the town clerk to investigate the sufficiency of the position. Tonight, you should have a copy of the certificate of sufficiency in your packet, and we also need to adopt the included resolution that will set a public hearing for our April 12th meeting. Again, these steps are spelled out through General Statute 160A. So once we get through these at your next meeting, we'll hold the public hearing and then consider an annexation ordinance. So again, tonight, and I don't know if it needs one motion or two motions, but we need you to vote on accepting the certificate of sufficiency and also adopting the resolution to set a public hearing for April the 12th.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Any questions?
Make a motion on both items.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ross.
Yeah.
Okay, vote on the motion. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis, and Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
Okay. The next item, Arts and Recreation Board member terms.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mayor and Board of Commissioners. When I came aboard here, we were letting the terms expire on the date they came in on. And a while back, we had to get our board, or we had to look into our board getting certified. This is when we found out we were not following the town ordinance. And to justify that, everybody just from where their date is now to the following January. That way we're following the town ordinance.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are the board members staggered at all by year?
Yeah, they will be staggered by years because they've all come in different years, but their terms will all expire in January. You know, where some of them would expire in January of 2022, some of them 23, some 24. And then when they get reappointed or new members come aboard, then they'll be their 3-year terms and they'll get appointed in January.
So what you're doing basically is adjusting what you have based on the town's policy.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? What's the pleasure?
Make a
Make a
motion.
motion.
By Commissioner Goff, second by Mayor Pro Tem. Vote on the motion, Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis, and Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
Okay. The next item is update on dog park at 8 District Park.
Yes, sir. Enclosed, you'll see 2 different maps. The map is the area that was voted on and approved by y'all a year or so ago. And then the second map is the one that I wanted really that y'all look at, is the design of the dog park. It's done by me with Word and Google, so some of the lines aren't perfectly straight with this, but if you'll see, we have a small dog section, a large dog section. In the center is where they come in, and we'll have a water fountain that will serve both sides, and then a gate for them to enter into the dog park section. Everything's in there. We've got the money to build this. We've got a $5,000 grant from Pitt County in Parks and Recreation. Our economic developer got us another $5,000 from Pitt County. So we got 10,000 from them. And being COVID, the sports concession stand hadn't been running, so I have the money that was allotted for them to do a budget amendment and draw money over, not a budget amendment, but a budget transfer over to my other line item so I can build the park. The estimates are there. We're looking at a total around 19,000. Any questions or any recommendations or questions?
Any question to the Tommy, our Recreation Director?
I just want to make a comment.
Okay.
Tommy, I mean, I looked at everything and this looks really good and the equipment is actually top of the line equipment. And I appreciate your hard work.
Thank you, Commissioner Langley. Anyone else?
I got one question to the board. Would y'all prefer doing the grand opening on a Saturday or a weekday?
How soon you planning on having the grand opening?
If we can go without the weather, without the rain, I hate to say that word. Hopefully I can start putting the fence up, either later this week or first of next week, and things should move fairly quickly. So I'm hoping sometime in May we'll be able to have. I mean, biggest holdups can be getting the stuff. Everything is taking, instead of taking 4 weeks normally, now everything's taking 6 to 8 weeks to get it here because of shipping. So I'm hoping early May is what I'm really shooting for.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, when we get closer, we'll think about it and get with you in April, next meeting.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next is information items, staff reports. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just there in your report, I'll just touch on several of them. The audit is coming along. Unfortunately, I wish it was done right now, but we have provided the information to Cherry and Beckert. Rob has provided the information. They're still asking him some questions, but they pretty much got all of it. The last question he had as of tonight was some of the construction in progress from a year and a half ago, which is a little bit kind of surprising that they'd asked that, but he's answered those questions. And so we'll see what they say as far as the next one, but it'll still take them 3 to 4 weeks to put the report together. But I told them to just do something as far as the draft goes and do whatever they could to get us the information as quickly as possible. Because one of the things that I'm also wanting to do is go ahead and do an RFQ for an audit, so that once we're going straight from audit to budget to audit. And so it's a lot of work, but we're able to do this and have confidence in us to do it. I just don't want to, we're catching up with our bank reconciliations. We were 6 months behind. Now we're 3 months behind. I feel like in the next few months, we'll be totally caught up with that. So those are the big things that we're making a lot of progress on. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to restructure that RFQ, to make sure that the auditors come in June and we get started with do what's called a pre-audit and have everything we need, so that when they come back for the audit, we'll have everything laid out for them for what they need, and we won't go through this situation again. Also, as you probably read in the paper, the U.S. Census is coming out kind of late with some information. So it may be that, and this is just for information, we don't know if it comes out late as expected, we're going to have to postpone the November elections. And that's just for the purpose of redistricting. So we'll probably get some more information to you back on that once we find out, but that's something that I just wanted you to be aware of.
And just so you guys know, as far as it pertains to redistricting, I did reach out to the DOJ about any possible guidance, and I do think they think the state legislator might kind of address it beforehand, so it might be kind of worked out for us. But we did reach out; we are kind of working on it, so we're just kind of waiting to see how we get responses.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. And Pam was talking about the NC LEAD program. We did get that grant, and my recommendation in the grant was to use the individual as a downtown liaison, downtown Main Street program person working under the planning department. And so that is something that we're grateful to have gotten, and I hope you concur with that recommendation as well. We have sent out the budget notebooks to our department heads. They're due in the middle of March the 16th. So we're really ramping that up now, and we're going to try to expedite that because of of where we are with some other things, but we can definitely expedite that. Marketing and branding strategy. Going along with that, right now we're in the process of getting surveys from various places in town, and Gwen was from Gwen Goodies she made these table tents, which was a really great idea that they've been put around various areas of town, just anywhere that would have them, so that people could touch their smartphones to it and automatically bring up the survey. Our goal is to get at least 300 surveys. I think we're around 200 something now, and so we're pushing for that. And the rest of the stuff I think you're kind of aware of, but those were the big things. I'll entertain any questions that the board might have.
Any questions from the board members?
I have one. Are we still moving toward our discussion with MetroNet? I know there's been a lot in the news and Sentinel about Greenville working with them. Is there any update on moving this direction?
Yes, we did have discussions with them. We've had some good discussions with them. Right now, they're having some meetings with Winterville, and they're studying our area to determine whether, I guess, to determine the feasibility of bringing into our area. And I think if they're coming into Winterville, that's a good sign for us. But we've given them examples of copies of pole attachments and right-of-way agreements that have been used in other places that are similar to what they're proposing or would like to see. So we've made it, I think, very clear to them that we'd love to have them here, and they know that. So, but the ball is still in their court. I believe that that's what they're doing. The last discussion I had with her was that she would get back with us, and that they were looking into the feasibility of adding Ayden into their plans.
Any other question for the manager? So do we have a date when the audit will be completed?
I wish I could give you that, Mayor. I will say this, I'm pretty confident that we can have you a draft by the next meeting. Whether it's complete, that's going to have to depend on, I guess, on them, how much they can get done, but I'm pretty confident they can get a draft to us.
Because this is going on too long, and I've had conversation, and here we are in budget season, and we don't have the audit. I mean, and then you look at our neighbor up north and the issue they've had. I don't understand the lack of urgency by, because we talked about last meeting, we talked February, March. Here we are, April, then it'd be May. We can start the audit for 2 years. I mean, which you can't do, which is not right, but it is very frustrating.
I agree. And I sort of sitting down and doing it myself, which I put the much pressure as I can, that the difficulty is that the fact that the people that need to answer the questions, some of them, like I mentioned before, the construction in progress a year ago, we don't know those answers. So quite frankly, I don't know why sometimes they ask those questions. So there's multiple things that I'm frustrated with, Mr. Mayor, and I don't know. I think we're doing pretty much everything, getting Rob involved and paying him for his time. He hasn't had to do that much, but he's had to do enough, and still, and also getting an outside person to help us with the reconciling the books. So we were several months behind, even when the auditors came, and then it only got worse. So now we're playing catch up, but we will catch up, and we will get the audit done, and we will continue to make sure that from here on out, we don't have these issues. That's one of the reasons why the RFQ there basically has penalties in there to make sure that if it is late, there's consequences. We don't really have those consequences in place right now with the current contract.
So so my question is, what's the consequence for us? Because it's a partnership. So you put accountability on the auditor. Where is our accountability?
Our
Because-
ability is to get it there to them, and we didn't do that this time, but we will next time.
So really, you know, it's very concerning that we're going to say in June or end of June, we want to have a process place for the next audit, but we're going to get our audit back 2 months, who knows, before that audit starts in the 2021 fiscal year. We ain't got 2020 fiscal year. I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, we can put all the accountability on the auditors, but some accountability has to belong to us. And,
Yes,
you know, I mean, we did have transition, all that, but, you know, this,
I'm not denying that, Mayor. We
we
do.
need to know some urgency by the accountants that it needs to be done ASAP. And it needs to be done before April's meeting, to a point, I think, that it should be done where we can have a special meeting to go over it before
Yes, sir.
April's get here. I don't know when our next meeting is. It's what, April what? So let's look.
Well,
Well,
April 12th. So it'd be mid-April for we want to project get audit. That just means we'll be 2, 6, 10 weeks away to having our budget need to be done. 10 weeks. And how are we going to do the budget when we don't know what audit looks like? And I mean,
But the reconciliations are what's going to help us with that. And like I said, we were behind on that. And as fast as this person's doing it, we could have the reconciled probably in less than a month. But we can start from base where we were at with our budget, and we can work from there. And that's what we're doing. But I don't disagree with you, Mayor. It's not what I would have liked. It's not what I want. It's, you know, it's a situation that we need to correct, and we will.
well, that's what we've been saying for the last 4 months. So I mean, and I think I'd be one to approve what resources that if we don't have to get it done. I mean, I don't see the end. I think that's what I struggle with that. So, anything else?
we need to go back and approve the budget amendment that was added to the agenda.
Okay. There is the budget agenda amendment that was put in the books with you. You want to talk about that, Mr. Manager?
Essentially, that is, let me get to it. That's for the firearms, surplus and firearms. And a second. Budget amendment number 6 for the police department. The police department received $5,000 from calendar sales, which they typically do. They'd like to use those funds to purchase guns to replace those given to retired officers. We recommend the proposed budget amendment to the 2021 annual budget.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to adopt the proposed budget amendment.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem,
second,
second by Commissioner Langley. Any discussion? Vote on the motion. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes,
Commissioner Davis, and Commissioner Langley.
yes.
Okay. Any other management report? Any
I
other?
I have a question for the manager, if I may.
Okay.
Matt, the mayor brought up a good point, but we didn't really hear any kind of feedback from you on that. If we're dealing with this budget situation, if we're dealing with, we don't have enough personnel to get this done, what can we do as a board to help you expedite this? I mean, what's our situation here?
Okay, our situation is this. We are down a person, but we're in the process of hiring now, so we should be fully staffed in probably the next 30 days. As far as helping us, the issue has been trying to get the information from somebody else. They hold this information, and you can't just pull it out of the air. You can't pay somebody else to create information. They're the only person that was really doing that, and that's Rob. He's the one that can answer these questions, and so we're using him. It's whenever he can get to it, And so that's been the challenge. It
Now,
hasn't been-
I saw something that it said we were paying him to provide the information. Is that correct?
We did pay him because it was a situation where I felt like that would help him get motivated and get it done faster. And I
So,
think it has helped, but
so we're waiting on information from Rob.
yeah, he's been working on it and he's submitted everything now to him. So I think he's basically done. So it's up to the auditors to kind of put it all together. Every now and then they'll come back and they'll ask a question. And if we can answer it, we do. And most of the time we can, but there are some situations that, only he can answer, like what was the construction in progress back a year or so ago that nobody really knows about that's here now that was involved with it. Wasn't because we weren't involved in it.
So is that as we don't have a paperwork trail that a person has it in their brain?
In that case, yes. There's paperwork trails as far as the grant administration. We've got those things, but it's like, what was why did you allocate something like this? And I can't pick his brain. I don't know why he chose to allocate something one way and not another way.
And there's nobody that we can contract until we hire to assist in getting this done.
I don't think so. I mean, not they can get it. I mean, right now we're basically it's up to the auditors now to put it together. And, the remaining question that they might ask us isn't really delaying them, in my opinion. It's putting it together now.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So are they putting everything together? Or are they holding it up because they're waiting for an answer to this question?
That's
Hopefully
part of
they're-
the problem. They start and they say, well, we can't really do this because we need this information. So we think they're starting and then stopping. And then they also say, well, we've got to work on this client's audit because now it's tax season. And so, but they told me today that they think they can put in a draft together. And I said, well, do it because I've been saying we got to get this done. And I'm asking the same questions you're asking me. What can I do to make this go faster for you guys? We got it. And their response is we need to know this and this. And so Joanne's been getting all those things done, but there's some things that Rob just knows that we've had to, get over there to him. And so he's gotten those now, and we've got a trial balance now. And so it was pretty far out of whack. I can just tell you that. But we got it back in line now.
Right. I'm with the mayor, and I think the rest of the commissioners are too, is, we are terribly frustrated with everything that has been going on and constant delay in getting this accomplished. And we're moving into a budget time, and we can't, we got to think about a budget while we don't even have our audit complete. So I too am upset that this is not, that we're being delayed and put off.
Well, this is what I'll do. I'll get on the phone again with them tomorrow and say, they got to have us a draft within 2 weeks. And just say that's it. They've got to do it. I can do that, and we can see what they say. And I can tell the same thing to Rob. If there's something that they need any more from Rob, please do this. 'Cause that's what I've been doing. I've been telling them we need to get this done. And I have been very, very adamant about that. We were further behind, way further behind in actually in January, and we made a lot of progress in less than 2 months. And I feel like we can certainly get it done and wrap it up and get it to you. We're right there at the finish line now. So I'm sorry it's taken so long. I don't know what else I could have done, honestly, because I guess the thing I probably could have done in retrospect is gotten a different finance director in here from day one, and we wouldn't have had this issue. But I don't like talking like that because It may be truthful, but it's not what you want to hear. It sounds like an excuse.
Any other comments?
I concur with you, Commissioner Goff, and Commissioner Langley, Commissioner Ross, and Coach Dave, Commissioner Davis as well. We're in a bad spot, and I hate it just as bad as the rest of you all hate it. That's all I have to say.
Any other comments? Any question about any of the department reports, manager's report?
I have one comment. I want to commend the article in the paper with the COVID vaccinations, and it was very well done. She was very well spoken. I think she's done an excellent job, and you know, I just want to commend her for the work that she's done for the citizens of our town.
Yeah, Nicole, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And you just don't know how many lives you part of saved that day of those vaccinations. So
Yes, sir.
That is the truth. So you save lives for that, doing that.
We had some very heart-touching stories that day, and it just did my heart so good to be able to pull it off. We had quite a few people get vaccinated, and some people shed tears. One lady said, you know, she thanked us. She felt like we had given her life back. So it was very self-gratifying. We were just ecstatic that we were able to do it.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Good job. Anyone else?
We're
Comments?
proud of you, Nicole.
Yeah. Any other comments? Okay, with that said, board comments. Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll pass. I just want to thank all of our employees for the great job that they continue to do, and to thank Ms. Nicole Brown again for her efforts. It wasn't easy, but we need, that's the spirit we need to do things in this town. They just didn't sit everything in her lap. She had to work hard to get it here, and she did that in a professional manner, and I'm overjoyed and extremely proud of her. That's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner Ross.
Yes, thank everybody for joining in. I also want to thank Patty and Roy and Josh for bringing their concerns to us. It really is a problem. I live on Snow Hill Street, and we even had an accident on Snow Hill Street Friday. So it's a real problem, and hopefully it'll get better when they get DOT does this next step. Hopefully. Thank all the employees for all their hard work. Nicole, thank you. Good job. And everybody be safe.
Thank you, Commissioner Ross. Commissioner Langley.
Yeah, and good seeing everybody. It's good seeing you, Coach Davis. I hadn't seen you in a while. Good to see you, and hope you're doing a lot better. Appreciate the public comments tonight. A lot of times we don't know everything that's going on in the town. So we do need the citizens to come forward and let us know about the problems that we need to address. And I appreciate all the departments and everything they've done for us and continue to do for us. And I hope everybody has a great night. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Langley. Commissioner Goff.
I just echo what everyone else has said. I know that all of our town staff are working very hard and very diligently to do all the work that they are attempting to do. I think they're being as successful as possible. I do appreciate the citizens' comments, like Commissioner Langley said. You know, in order for us to know what's going on, we just need to hear from the citizens, and I appreciate that they do that. Commissioner Davis, again, so glad to see you. Hope you're healing up and you're getting stronger every day. And just all of us do what we need to do to stay safe and to stay healthy. And just God bless y'all.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis.
think Coach might be on mute. Is it?
I think he said he was gonna maybe have to get off early if he wasn't feeling okay.
I see him.
I can see his picture. He may be on mute.
All right, good. I only
Coach, you might be on mute, man.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Okay.
You don't have to say anything. Just good seeing you. So we're good. That's you. So we're grateful that you.
How about now? You got me now?
I can hear you.
You made it the whole meeting, Coach.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
We hear you, Coach.
I'm just glad to be back, man, because I'm gonna tell you something. That COVID-19, he's a bad man.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad to be here. And I'm tell you a little story about something happened to me today to tell you what kind of employee we got in our town. One of our town employees took his lunch hour today and came to my house and cut my hair.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I really appreciate that. So everybody have a good night. And I'm not completely through it yet, but doctor said I'm progressing. She said it just takes time. Thank you.
You look good, so glad to have you. So if you need anything from us, just let us know.
Will do.
Thank you. And my comments is grateful for the board, good seeing each one, and also continue your hand hygiene, social distance, wearing a mask, and if you get a chance to get a vaccination, get vaccine, get it. That's going to help us open up get back to normalcy. So please do that. At this time, we need to go in closed session, and it's listed on your package, A and B. So, Mr. Attorney, anything we need to do different?
Just the motion. I'll read it for you if you want.
Please.
This time, we'll be moving towards closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A4 to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body, including agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiations, and also pursuant to General Statute 143-318-11A3 to consult with